Well, I'm sure you guys have been wondering where I've been. And the answer to that is, I've just been working a lot. But I'm back making videos again, so I'll be uploading relatively regularly again, because there is a lot of stuff about to happen to the car, so I'm gonna have plenty of content to make for you guys. But the main topic of today's video is going to be these coilovers. So before we get too far into this, I'm going to clarify my relationship with Maxspeedingrods. They reached out to me pretty recently and offered to send me a set of coilovers and a random toolkit that I have no idea what it is, as long as I made a video about it and did a review. So that's what we're gonna do. Now, although this is sponsored, I'm going to be completely unbiased. This is going to be my complete honest opinion. And I have heard a lot of things about these coilovers. The reputation of these seems to be pretty spotty. It's either you get a really good set or you get one that doesn't last long at all. But that's only what I've heard. I have no experience with these coilovers at all. So maybe all that stuff isn't even true. Maybe these are a good bang for your buck. I mean, because these only clock in at $300 and they come with an adjustable damper, which is something my Raceland coilovers don't have. So I'm gonna be comparing these to my Racelands a lot because that's what the car has been on for quite some time. And to be honest, I really don't like my Racelands. They're pretty bad. So the bar's not set really high. We'll see how these compare. Racelands are about $500. These are about $300. So, you know, could be good value for money. But without further ado, let's get these things out of the box. All right, so we got a foam cover. And here we are. Here are our coilovers. This is just basically a thank you note and a catalog of some of their other products. They make like turbos and all sorts of stuff. All right, so this is one of the springs. I mean, it looks good, but you know, I don't know how you could really mess up a spring. I will say though, these look really nice. I really like the color they have on these. Okay, so here is our spring seat. Okay, this is really important. This is actually really nice. So these little cups that go on the bottom of this spring like this have this little rubber piece that sits at the top. My Racelands do not have this, and it is such a pain if I want to adjust the rears, just because every time you try to spin the collar, the whole assembly moves because there's no rubber piece to hold it in place. So these are going to be a lot easier to adjust. So good on Maxspeedingrods for actually including these. In Raceland, what are you doing? Like that's like super important to have. Go ahead and set this other spring aside. Now this is the front. Now this is what I'm really curious about. All right, so the welds look okay. I mean, they don't look, you know, like anything fancy, but you know, I mean, they look solid, right? I don't think this isn't gonna fail or anything. I mean, at first glance, like this looks nice. The rod up here and here is really thick. Like that's a beefy boy. And the Raceland ones I have, that rod is pretty thin. So these might hold up a little bit better in terms of structural rigidity, but we will see. This is our adjustable damper knob. That's so sick, bro. A coilover that is $300, give or take, I think it's like $303, comes with adjustable dampers. It's pretty nice. But I've got everything unboxed. These are the rear struts, and they look pretty good too. I mean, they have an adjustable damper as well, which of course is a nice thing to have. And I mean, I have no complaints with all the stuff I've unboxed. I mean, it looks pretty good. The only thing is these and links are not adjustable. So that's something you're gonna have to deal with. But other than that, man, I mean, these look good. But of course, we won't know how good these actually are until I get them installed and can drive around with them. Let's go ahead and move on to this toolkit. I went ahead and took it out of the box, but I haven't opened it yet. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so it's a slide hammer, kind of small. Honestly, like this is a pretty small slide hammer. It is really small. Like this does not have a lot of weight behind it. So probably don't use this if you get one to take something like wheel bearings off. You probably won't have a lot of luck with that. But I mean, for smaller stuff, I mean, it'll work. It's a slide hammer. Honestly, I didn't even know Maxspeedingrods made tools. But you know, learn something new every day. That's cool that they sent that to me. That was really nice of them. They absolutely did not have to do that. But back to these. The main thing I'm going to be watching out for is any form of leaking, because that's the thing you got to watch out for with these lower price coilovers. Is they might perform well and they might look good, but the seals are what you need to watch out for, because that is the main complaint I have heard with coilovers like this, is they start to leak pretty early. So I obviously won't know until I've had them for a while, or who knows, maybe they might start leaking really early, or maybe they won't leak at all. We'll see. Regardless, this is probably going to be some form of an upgrade, because my Raceland coilovers are pretty terrible and they're getting kind of old, so they are starting to make a little bit of noise and they ride like shit. So without further ado, let's get the GoPro on. Let's go ahead and stick these things on the car. Alright, so I don't know how well you guys can see what I'm looking at because it's kind of dark in here, but you're going to have a bolt right here and a bolt right below that. So there's two bolts holding the strut to the hub, so you're going to need to undo those. And then up top, let me open the hood here because I kind of need to do that to actually get the strut off. Good lord, my engine bay is dirty. I need to clean this thing, dude. But anyways, you're gonna have three more right here, here, and here. So you have all these, just undo these three up top, and then the two at the bottom, and then you have to undo your end link. So there's one bolt right here. I'm not sure if you guys can see this or not, but it's back there. And then you just gotta undo the brake line bolt that connects the brake line to the strut. And then it should come out no problem. I recommend doing the bottom ones first, and then doing the top ones, because if you do the top ones first, it might make doing these a little harder. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so there's one. Also, if you're wondering why I'm not using an impact or anything, it's because all of my good tools that I would normally use are at my job. So I'm just working with what I have at the house, which is not a lot. So you'll have to forgive me for this jank setup I got going here. So there you go. Both bolts are out of the bottom. This is now loose. I recommend getting your jack and putting it under the hub, just so you have something to support it. In terms of socket sizes, this bolt is a 17, and the nut on that bolt is, I believe, a 19 or an 18. Let me check real quick. It is a 19. So a 17 and a 19 to get these bolts out. And I want to say the bolt holding the brake line on is either a 10 or a 12 mil. All right, it's not a 10, so it's gonna be a 12 mil. Yep, all right, so the bolt holding the brake line in is a 12 mil. So let me grab my baby wrench here. There we go. Nice and easy. I should have unbolted the end link first before anything else. That's gonna be painful now. I want to say the end link is a 19. Oh no, maybe not. Yeah, the end link is a 19. So let's go ahead and try and get that out. I'm gonna have to get something on this end link to keep it from spinning like that, because every time I try to twist this nut off, it just spins the whole thing, so the nut's not actually moving. Ah, great. This is always a fun time. I think it's an Allen key. I mean, I have a lot of Allens, so, you know, I'm bound to have the right size. It's just I gotta figure out which one. All right, well, now that I have the right size Allen, I need to get a box head wrench. Dude, I don't know if I have a box head wrench here in a 19. Oh no. I'm gonna have to use a crescent wrench. This is gonna be painful. All right, here we go. This is gonna be quite the install, boys.
I mean, once I get it loose enough, I could probably use the socket again, but ah, crap. Until then, I'm gonna have to be doing this, and this is not fun. It feels like these threads never end. There we go. So the top bolts are 14s. Where's my 14? All right, so these top bolts are a 14 mil slash 5/8. So either of those sizes will work for these top bolts. And these shouldn't be too terribly hard to get off. I mean, they're easily accessible and they're not very tight, so. One crappy coilover is almost out, boys. Almost out. Oh. Hello, little mosquito that just landed on my fender. Please don't bite me. All right, so what I'm doing right now, I'm holding the coilover from the bottom to sort of lift it up so I can get this last nut off. And this last nut is being really, really annoying. It just does not want to come off, so I'm gonna have to use a socket wrench. All the rest cooperated, but you know, you gotta be that one guy. It's like the guy that showed up to the party that was never invited. All the nuts are out. The coilover is pretty much loose, except it's still attached to the end link, but there we go. One crappy Raceland coilover is out. So wow, okay, like actually putting these next to each other, the Raceland coilover is just skinnier overall. Like these are definitely beefier. Huh. Yeah, man, this coilover has just, it's been through a lot, man. I mean, all the rubber is absolutely destroyed. Yeah. Oh! I think it was leaking from the top. Because there's a lot of oil up here. Yeah, okay. Wait, but how would oil be up there? I don't know. These coilovers have been pretty awful, honestly. So, you know what? This is good. Make sure I don't mix up my hardware, because I definitely want to use all the new hardware. The Jenny's finally getting some new suspension. I mean, that's just those coilovers, they've been on the car for almost the entire time I've had it, because I got them right after I got the car. So it's been a while. I'm definitely gonna have to adjust camber plates and preload and all of that. So I'll probably do that now. So what I like to do for preload is this collar that's at the bottom of the spring, just snug that up enough to where this isn't rattling around. So it's just like, you know, it's kind of tight in there. Don't compress it really any, because if you compress this before you even get in the car, it's gonna ride super stiff. It's gonna ride terribly. So just snug this up, and then just set your ride height from here. So you undo this collar right here, and these are actually kind of tight. That's surprising. It's almost like they almost came preloaded. It's almost kind of like they did, to be honest. You loosen up this bottom collar, and you rotate this like this to raise the car. And I'm actually going to be raising my car a tiny bit, because I'm tired of scraping my downpipe on stuff. I have literally destroyed 2 downpipes so far. I'm on my 3rd downpipe. So, yeah, I'm not about to ruin another one, especially because the one I just bought is a Turbo XS downpipe, and that's probably one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive downpipe you can get for this car, because it's really nice, and I don't want to ruin it. So, we'll start here. This is a decent amount of gap, so this might be a little monster trucky. So it actually does matter which coilover you use for which side. So the one that has the brake line bracket on the same side as the end link bracket is the driver's side, and then the other one is the passenger side. We gotta go and put this in. You put the logo on these coilovers, you put the logo facing outward. So let's go ahead, put this under here and lift it through the, actually, you know what? Before I get too far into this, I need to make sure my hardware is in an easy to reach place. So I'm gonna put them right there, because I'm gonna need them like immediately. So we lift this through the top, just look through the top as you're lifting it, and then line up all the holes, Sometimes getting the strut braces or the strut brace to work, there we go, is hard. This is the hardest part, honestly. And you just put a note, yeah, there we go. Put a note on it. And then, there you go. It's held up in there. I'll just put the other two on it. And, come on, you piece. There we go. All right, so that's being held in there now. I'll rotate this around towards the hub. And we gotta, oh God. We have to attach this now. So just grab a bolt. This is probably gonna be pretty hard too. But you gotta do it. So, come on, there we go. All right, one bolt's in there, just like that. And then I just gotta put the other one in, wherever it is. Where'd my bolt go? Oh, there it is. Now we just gotta tighten these down, and she'll be in there, boys. Yeah, now that it's basically in there, we just gotta reattach our brake line, which is super simple and really easy. If I could find my socket wrench. Remember, this bolt is a 12 mil. So I got it started with my hand, and then just use your socket to tighten it down the rest of the way. This is a pretty simple and straightforward part. All right, now we gotta tighten everything up top so we don't have a bunch of play. All right, now we need to tighten up our bottom bolts. Okay, so it is a new day. I got all of the back stuff in after I did the fronts. It's not too hard. The strut is super easy. You just have 2 bolts at the top, and then there's 1 at the bottom that holds it in. So you just undo those, take the old strut out, put the new one in. Super simple. The spring is going to be the hardest part of the back, and that's just because getting the old spring out and getting the new one in is pretty difficult. So what I recommend doing is undo both of the bolts that hold the hub to the lower control arm and hold the strut to the lower control arm. So just go ahead and undo both of those, and then undo the bolt that holds the sway bar to the lower control arm as well. That one might give you some trouble just because it likes to spin, like the nut likes to spin with the bolt itself. So like you're gonna have to hold it in place somehow and get it off. It's kind of complicated, but after you do that, it's much easier to work the spring out because you have more play in the lower control arm. So after you get the spring out, just get the spring seat for the back, make it as low as it'll go, like all the way to the top, and then it's a lot easier to get the spring in there and then adjust from there. But what I'm doing right now is I'm going to be setting my strut up because mine is a little bit too high right now. But yeah, I'm just adjusting the strut down right now because it was definitely too high before. I was definitely getting a little bit of noise on my back right suspension because I'm pretty sure this was hitting the top up here and it was making noise. But I'm just spinning this down now because I'm going to push the strut down so we don't have to deal with that anymore.
All right, so suspension is completely installed in the car. The only thing I really have left to do is just test drive it and see how it rides. Definitely have some noise. Oh God, yeah, I've got some noise coming from the passenger front. Good Lord. I'm gonna have to figure out what that's about. That sounds like a spring seat maybe. So I'm gonna guess that's what that is. I didn't put too much preload on it, so I probably just need to lube up the spring seat or something, because that's what it sounds like, because it's not doing it when I'm moving. Should probably be a simple fix though, I'm not too worried about that. But so far, this thing rides really good. Like, I'm actually pretty impressed. Like, it absorbs bumps really well. I'm not getting nearly as much road vibration as I was before. Because my racelands, man, they rode so bad. Like, going over just this relatively smooth road, I got nothing but road vibration, and it was the worst feeling ever. Yeah, there's that noise again. It's only when I'm going really slow. That's really odd. Yeah, like the dampening and everything feels really good. Like this is miles better than Raceland. I mean, this really puts in perspective how bad Raceland is. Like, I don't have anything against them as a brand, but like the quality of their product is just, it's just not it, man. Like, if you would have asked me a month ago if I would have gotten MXRs or Racelands, I'd probably say Racelands. But after having these on my car and having Racelands on my car, I would get these every day. I mean, these ride so much better. These absorb bumps way better. I mean, this is a way more compliant ride. Like, I have no complaints. But yeah, man, I mean, this is the ride height I'm sitting at right now. It's a tiny bit higher than what I was on my Racelands. Like, in the front, it's about the same, but in the back, I raised it slightly, just a little bit. But let me just show you guys some of the stuff I'm talking about in terms of quality. So like these Raceland spring seats, there's no locking ring, and there's no rubber piece at the top to hold it in. So I mean, you can see that wear mark, that wear ring. Every time I went to adjust this collar right here to change my rear ride height, the entire assembly would spin, and it was an absolute pain to adjust my rear ride height. And eventually I just said screw it, and I just left it. And also, because this doesn't have a locking ring, the ride height in the rear would lower by itself over time, because every time you'd hit like a semi-harsh bump, this collar would spin upwards. So I literally watched my car lower over the course of a few months, and it was not good. It was not a good time. One of my front coilovers, I was having an issue where it was making some knocking noises, and that happened very early on. I mean, you know, it's just like little stuff, like with the spring seat and the my end link. I forget which one it was. I think it was this one. I want to say it was, yeah, this one. Has so much play in it. Like, that's ridiculous, dude. That's ridiculous. And that happened so early on in my ownership of these. I mean, it was like less than a month and that happened. So, I mean, pretty much the entire time I've had these coilovers, I've had a bad end link, and it's made noise. It's made a knocking noise pretty much every time I go over a bump. These are definitely just going to go in storage as backups if I ever like absolutely need them in an emergency. But I'll probably never put these on my car ever again. Like I said before, I have nothing against Raceland as a brand or as a company, because I haven't tried out like any of their other products, but like these coilovers that I got from them, super disappointed. But man, I'm pretty satisfied with these coilovers from MXR. I mean, they were super easy to adjust and get my ride height exactly where I wanted it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. And definitely go check out these coilovers if you're looking for a set. I mean, these are not super expensive and they don't ride bad. I'll definitely make an update video in the future on like the reliability and how these have held up. But until then, I'll see you guys next time and take care.